Today I'm going to give you a quick review of the DR ProMax 34 Field and Brush Mower. We've owned a DR Field and Brush Mower for decades. This ProMax 34 is about a little over a year old. DR has come out with two new models since I purchased the ProMax 34. ProMax 34 was the largest unit available at the time that I purchased it. The new machine is slightly bigger and has a little bit more horsepower than the old machine, but they're fairly similar in operation. I can't tell a huge difference. The new machine has what they call steering controls, which are not my favorite. I think that's a little bit overrated, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So I went out to film this review and had plans to provide considerably more footage. However, my day started out with a wasp nest. They built a hive underneath the control panel. Somehow I was able to start the machine and get it out from under the barn and fill it full of gas and not get stung, and that's when I noticed the nest. I had to remove the nest. After I removed the nest, I took the machine to an area I was planning to mow, and I'll roll some footage of that. I had intended to do some mowing of like taller grass and weeds. However, the butterflies were digging on the sedge and I didn't want to cut it down. It's blooming. I figured I could wait until after the sedge has finished blooming before I go and mow that path. I did some clearing with the machine, which is mainly what I use it for. If I'm mowing grass, I'll either use the Bush Hog or the Gravely zero-turn mower. If you watch the DR commercial, you'll see a happy guy casually strolling through a field for the most part with his mower, and his controls are working, and life is good. If that's the type of material that you're cutting, I would say that the DR is going to operate primarily how they show it in the promotional videos. I will also show the specs of the machine. I'll post them over here so you'll see all the horsepower numbers and weights and that sort of thing. Let's talk a little bit about the DR. So this is the DR ProMax 34, 22 horsepower. I have 3 pros listed and 2 cons. Pro number 1 is power. This machine has plenty of power. I would not really want it to have any more. Working in tight quarters and backing the machine up, sometimes you'll run into a tree that you forgot was there, and if you don't let go of the controls, it will push you up against the tree pretty hard. The machine, I believe, is rated to cut 3-inch saplings, and I've definitely tested that and then some. I would say the machine has more than enough power to cut 3-inch saplings. I've never heard it bog down. If you've seen my review of the DR wood chipper, the thing I said is it has pretty good power, but if you're running material through the machine at capacity or near capacity, it will bog down a little bit. That's not the case with this DR. I think this DR could cut bigger material. Honestly, it's got plenty of power. The second thing is the size. It's really a good size. I'd say the 34, if you're going to be clearing out brush and you're going to be doing more than half an acre or so, I would say get the 34. Ease of assembly, I touched on that. It was delivered, the guy off the truck, got it unpacked, put together, less than an hour. It really was fairly easy to put together. I would say that the brush mower is a better engineered than the wood chipper. The controls are laid out better. It just looks like it's a better engineered machine. It looks more finished, for lack of a better term. I don't have any complaints about that. Con number 1 is the controls. If you're in an open area and you're coming to the end of a mow and you want to use the controls to turn the machine around, they work fine. But just look at some of the video that I'm rolling here. I'm in thick brush and there's trees around and I'm constantly having to go forward and backwards. I would prefer to see hydraulic controls similar to something that you see on a zero-turn mower. I just think they're more intuitive, more responsive, easier to use. It's going to add to the complexity and the cost. I would be okay with that. The second point regarding the controls are, they call it steering controls, and really all it is they have brakes on the wheels. So it's a cable actuated brake, and I don't find them very useful. I ordered those because I thought it was going to make controlling the machine quite a bit easier. I haven't found that to be the case. I've found that I hardly ever use them. If I'm out mowing a field or in a straight line, I will use them. If I'm going through brush like you see in the video I'm rolling, I'm not using those controls. I'm going in reverse a lot. I have to move the machine in a weird angle. You really have to manhandle this machine. It's not like a mowing your grass with a self-propelled mower. This machine, if you run it for 4 hours, you're going to be tired at the end of the day more than likely. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The self-propelled portion of the machine is great. It will not stop. It will keep going, I will tell you. So it's got plenty of power. Self-propelled system's great. I just don't like the steering system. I tend to do that just with brute force, which is not what I was hoping for. The old machine that we have didn't have the, quote, steering controls, and I thought that would be a good feature. In hindsight, it doesn't. If they were not there, it wouldn't bother me, except for they are an extra cost. But overall, I'd say the machine is a great machine. It is a workhorse. We've used it. The old machine has lasted decades. It's been welded back together, and it's really taken a lot of abuse. And you can see the type of clearing that we do with the machine. We're not going to baby the machine. It's going to be used to its fullest capacity for the most part. The footage that I'm showing now is not the most heavy-duty extreme use that we put the machine through. It's on the upper end, I'm not going to lie, but I've gone through tougher material than what I'm showing here. But it will, if it's a hot day, you're going to get worn out. So just keep that in mind. The price is another con. It's almost $4,000. That being said, there's not a lot of competition for something like this. I would say it's similar to having a self-propelled, hand-controlled bush hog. That's about the capacity that it has, but it's certainly more maneuverable, and the cutter is on the front, so you're not having to back in if you're cutting something with the bush hog, which we do cut with the bush hog. I would say that the finish that it leaves is slightly better than a bush hog, but it's not as nice as a finish mower, of course. The blade is kind of nice. It's two-sided, so when you wear it out, you can flip it over, and that'll extend the time between you having to sharpen the blades, which is always nice. That is about all I have to say about the machine. It's a nice machine. It's highly recommended. I certainly would not hesitate to buy one. If I were going to rate the machine on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably give it 3.5, maybe 4 stars. I wouldn't give it a 5. The controls are really tough. As you can see, I'm constantly having to shift, and you know, you have to shift it in first or second. If I'm going through the thick material, I'm usually going to be in first gear, and then I come to a place where I need to stop, and then you have to put it in reverse. And then if you try to use the, quote, steering controls, it's just, to me, I find them, you know, next to useless. So keep that in mind. Overall, good machine. That's about all I have to say about it. I'm clearing this area here to promote the growth of pitcher plants and Venus flytraps. They like it. So this is an area where I've mowed portions of it out before. And so what I'm doing is I'm just expanding the width here. Pitcher plants and the Venus flytraps, they tend to propagate and expand. They don't like being crowded out by brush. They like it open, and it's a semi-wet area. It's not always wet, but if we have heavy rain, it might stay wet there for a week or a week and a half or so before it, you know, starts to dry out, and it never really fully dries out unless we're in a severe drought. So that's the habitat that these carnivorous plants like, so I'm trying to expand it. I was going to do more, guys, with the footage, but the butterflies just, you know, I just couldn't cut down their sedge. They were just grooving on it so hard, and I said, you know what, I can just wait another couple of months and then go back there and do some more cutting, and then the butterflies can have their time. The Venus flytraps are probably not going to do a whole lot of growing. We're in mid-September, so I'd say there's no issue with halting the cutting until everything goes dormant and the butterflies are gone. So that's why I didn't do more cutting. But this should be enough cutting so you get a good idea of what the machine is capable of. Certainly if you're going through tall grass, it'll just mow it down, and it won't have a hiccup. So keep that in mind. It's a great machine. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll try my best to answer them. If you have any comments or your own experiences, also post those down below. I'm going to try to be more active with the channel going forward, so stay tuned. If you like what I had to say, hit the like button. If you want to hear some more, subscribe. I will try to start posting more videos going forward. Thanks for tuning in.